Let me ask you about your move to impeach Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. You accuse him of, quote, willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law, a breach of public trust. Mayorkas has said these claims are baseless and politically motivated. What's interesting here is that some prominent conservative legal experts who oppose Donald Trump's impeachment also oppose the impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas. This is what Jonathan Turley had to say, Mr. Speaker. He says there is no current evidence that he is corrupt or committed an impeachable offense. He can be legitimately accused of effectuating an open border policy, but that is a disagreement on policy. What has not been shown is conduct by the secretary that could be viewed as criminal or impeachable. Are you impeaching Secretary Mayorkas over a policy disagreement?
Jonathan Turley is a friend and a former colleague. I was a constitutional law attorney, a practitioner, litigator myself. And I also worked on the impeachment defense team for President Trump twice. So I'm very familiar with the law. What we're suggesting here is that Secretary Mayorkas has openly defied federal law, openly, repeatedly engaged in a practice of defying the law that Congress and has put on the books and previous presidents have signed. He has also lied to Congress. He has misrepresented facts over and over. And by that, and because of that, he's obstructed congressional oversight. All of these are constitutional responsibilities that we are unable to fulfill because this cabinet secretary has decided to defy federal law. Extreme times, desperate times call for desperate measures, and that's where we are.
Mr. Speaker, just a couple of points there. Of course, Secretary Mayorkas and you had a dispute over what it means for the border to be secured. So the notion that he lied has not stood up under independent fact checkers when you look at the fact that this was a dispute. Secondly, he says he's following the law. He says that's why new legislation needs to be passed. Mr. Speaker, how does impeaching Mayorkas do anything to address the immediate crisis at the border, which you have called a catastrophe, which you said deserves immediate attention?
Kristen, for that matter, how does passing a new law by Congress do anything to solve the catastrophe that they have intentionally designed and created? If we pass a new law, he won't follow that law either.
It gives the president expanded authorities on asylum. It does a range of different things.
But the president is not using the authorities he has right now.
All right.
No, Kristen, the president and Mayorkas are not using the authorities they have right now. Yes.
All right. Let me just play. This is, you were, as you just said, a part of President Trump's defense team at his first impeachment. Here's what you had to say about impeachment back then.
The founders of this country warned against single-party impeachments. The founders of this country warned us against a single-party impeachment. The founders of this country warned against a single-party impeachment. You know why? You guys know why. Because they feared it would bitterly and perhaps irreparably divide our nation.
What changed, Mr. Speaker?
Nothing. Nothing's changed. I would repeat the same refrain over and over because facts are stubborn things and they do not change. The Constitution does not change. Impeachment power is probably the heaviest power that the House of Representatives is given in the Constitution. Next to the declaration of war, you can argue it's the most serious power we have. And it's not to be used for partisan political purposes. That is exactly what they did for Donald Trump.
How is this different,
Mr.
Speaker? How is this
before he even took his oath of office.
If that's the case, then how is this moment different now?
Kristen, in many ways. Let me explain the many ways. For one, the House has methodically, slowly, deliberately gone through the impeachment process, impeachment inquiry, impeachment investigation on Mayorkas and President Biden himself. We've involved 3 different committees of jurisdiction, judiciary, oversight, ways and means. We have followed the facts where they have led, not for political purposes, not because we take pleasure in this. It's, again, a heavy thing to look at the impeachment of a president or a cabinet secretary, but these facts require it. The House of Representatives has the constitutional responsibility of impeachment, and that begins with the investigation, and it must be very carefully, methodically done in a nonpartisan manner. That's exactly what the House Republican majority has done here, and it is exactly the opposite of what the House Democrats did in the previous administration. That is a fact, and we can follow those facts and understand them for what they are.
All right. And of course, Secretary Mayorkas has said that the allegations against him are baseless.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.